Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to E6. We're working with our Sauce Talk panel, most notably known for that portion of the wide world of electronic sports that you all really show up for, not the esports talk, but the food talk. I am accompanied by some phenomenal individuals. I have Denny Von Doom, our social media manager, the man that makes everything look so crispy online. Of course, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Asif Khan. How are you, my friend?
Oh, doing great. I'm floored by how great all this E6 content has been. We're totally not pre-recording this.
And last but certainly not least, Mike Harris,
Hi-oh!
aka Chef Mike.
Oh!
The legendary chef himself is here kicking it with us. Chef Mike, how are you, my friend?
Fantastic. I've had 8 G Fuels, and I am ready to answer all of the questions.
Yes. Okay.
Incredible.
This is really a momentous moment for Sauce Talk. We've never really had a guest on Sauce Talk. It's usually just the hosts of Shacknews Wide World of Electronic Sports. And sometimes the people in the Twitch chat chime in. Sometimes we have people tweet at us during the week about breaking news and fast food. This was really born out of us just kind of not wanting to talk about esports for 3 hours straight. So towards the end of our esports show, we talk about food. It also happens to be right around dinner time for most people. But we don't just talk about basic food. We talk about innovative and crazy stories in the fast food space, which really kind of falls right into your wheelhouse, Mike, right?
I dabble in that space, I guess one could say.
And your career spans a lot of different companies in this space now. You've worked with McDonald's, you've worked with Yum Brands, who owns KFC and Taco Bell and Pizza Hut. You've been a consultant for other firms. I know you had that moment where you kind of dabbled with Wendys fries a couple of years ago.
Yeah, well, that was through like agencies. That was not employed by Wendys. That was all like marketing folk, and they're like, "Hey, you're a former McDonald's employee. Do you want to be in a Wendy's commercial?" I said yes.
Hell yes.
But like that's kind of like you're it kind of highlights where you're at now. Like where you've yes, you're still an expert in your core competencies of being a chef, but you're like an influencer now. You're like an internet person. You have an online personality now.
I do have the online. I wouldn't say. I mean, I debate micro influencer status due to how many followers and my impressions and engagement and all that goofiness. But, I very much just have been using social media. I was in college when the Facebook got to my school, and I needed my college email address to get on it. So
that's right.
I was an AOL chat room user.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I am like just the right age of all the gaming, all the having a computer, consoles. Like I was just the right age where I have done all those things as I have progressed in age. So like,
but like, how often did you put lyrics in your aim away message?
Oh, you got to. You always got to put lyrics.
My man.
The greatest social media page I ever had was my MySpace.
Of course.
My top 8, my top 16 always had the coolest people up there.
Hey, I was friends with Tila Tequila on MySpace.
Everybody was.
Same.
Everybody was.
Same.
Everybody had
top.
Hey, top 8 was sacred.
That top 8, we actually borrowed the top 8 for our Shacknews Cortex platform, so you actually can have your top 8 favorite Shackers on your profile. I actually follow Tom on Twitter now. Our first online buddy. But yeah, like it's been cool seeing you kind of like you're still working in the food space, but you're throwing hot takes out there. People will like to post food and at you, be like, or if they're making a brisket, they're gonna hit you up beforehand. It's been
I love it.
Even if you don't feel like you're influencing, just as someone who is following you and a fan of food, I think you're pretty influential.
I would say so.
All I could do is be a nice human on the internet who is also very well media trained to not say the inappropriate things or to give the takes that are going to affect me and my fan base. So I obviously strategically remain neutral. But then when the camera's off and you're at a convention and with you guys behind the scenes, I'm probably yelling and swearing.
That's right.
A variety of inappropriate things. So.
And obviously, when
you're cooking with the real grease.
When you're working in the kitchen, I'm sure
Oh, blasphemy.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, not like when working in restaurants, absolutely. When you work for big old corporate entities, it turns back into like either you have your chef coat on or you are wearing a suit and tie to like the office. Some billionaire president is going to be here, so act nice. Like I still have to
It
act in that world a little bit as well.
It feels like you're almost working in a laboratory, more than like a kitchen. When you're doing this R&D work that you're kind of
I'm hugging it a little bit. So my roles have always been working with the sciencey people, and I'm the culinary side of it. So where they fight for add these chemicals in because the shelf life of a food item is going to last forever. And me as a chef is like, that's awesome. It does not taste good at all. And people don't want to eat that. So let's rework it and maybe try to make it something palatable. So like, I know a lot of the food science stuff. I have my opinions and use all the ingredients you're not familiar with. But everything I do is based off of like what customers want. So if Walmart asked me to make the cheapest macaroni salad possible that lasts as long as possible, okay, I can do that. That might not be my preference. I might not go out and buy that thing regularly. I know who it's for, and they want the cheapest thing, and I just try to make other people happy.
Nice. It's funny you mentioned that because I have a cousin who's a food science graduate, and he had almost the exact same scenario. He was like, yeah, they asked me to make something for, Sam's Club or Walmart or whatever for some hamburger helper. Yeah, like how can we get this sodium down but also make it as cheap as possible?
Oh yeah, those kind of like a lot of work I do is matching other people's stuff. Like, hey, we want something just like that but cheaper. Great, this is a lot of fun. Or so right now I work for a company that's a supplier of ingredients. So it's, hey, other customer, this is how it works in a recipe. Take a look at it. Now they might buy it and use it in some completely other application. But now I also don't have to worry about going into a manufacturing facility and getting whatever I'm creating made. Like that's what I've had to do in the past. Now I get to just do the fun stuff. Like, yeah, I made the recipe in the bench top, in the kitchen. Here you go. Yeah, let's go to the next thing. Let's make something else.
I have an interesting question about like kind of where you're at in this space, because you're kind of in between the customer and the companies making the food. There's a huge trend going on in fast food and in the grocer's aisle with plant-based options. Are you involved in the development of some of those things? Like, are you working with Impossible or Beyond Meat, or are you
our ingredients? Well, especially now, but even like pre-pandemic, I was working for a company that did flavors and ingredients that go into these plant-based things. And my company now supplies a lot of those types of ingredients. So, not only let's say the unflavored pea protein that you start off with, but also hydrocolloids. So if you want to have fat, if you want it to taste fatty and have marbling, kind of that melty, there's ingredients to add there. Color fading colors. So it's red, but when heat hits it, it turns brown and the red fades away. Different kinds of preservatives, a lot of those plant-based proteins are bitter. So like things that may block or hide the bitter taste of those. You can have your total opinion on plant-based protein stuff. It is a processed food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Very
so
nice.
That is what it is. There are some consumers who are like, oh, this is, so much better for you. It's from the earth. Cool. There are a lot of things in there to make it look and act and replicate real meat. So just be aware of that when you're making your purchasing decisions.
I'm really glad you brought that up, that there's the origin of this is sure founded in healthy food, but we're talking about fast food companies that are doing this, and because of the nature of their supply chain management, they need things that keep on a shelf or in a freezer. I thought it was fascinating that there's actual lab scientists that figured out how to make a plant-based patty behave like a meat patty would while cooking it. That's like a next level of design that I didn't even think about.
It gets down to, let's say it is a preformed plant-based beef burger patty. The way you would normally get a frozen patty, the way the meat is ground, the way it is forced into its patty, there's actually like the meat forms these cones, and depending on how big, what angle, the meat, when you bite into it, breaks away differently. So there's all this work on just how do you organize the protein structure of the patty to better emulate what meat is, like bizarre, over the top stuff.
So
where me,
now-
as somebody who eats all the meat, I'm assuming if I was to ever need to turn vegetarian or vegan, I would just eat like a black bean or veggie patty type burger as opposed to knocking off the meat. I know what real meat tastes like. I'm probably not a consumer of that.
Yeah.
And I would probably like a vegetable patty or something like that. That's my preference, but maybe somebody just wants to, get down with that faux pork.
Yeah, sure.
Because they're vegan for whatever reason.
No, I'm
Yeah,
curious
I
though,
mean-
because like you talked about these ingredients that are being included that aren't necessarily maybe the most healthy, but they're really done for a design and an experiential standpoint. I think the marketing for plant-based is that it's sustainable. Are some of these ingredients that you're talking about, are they at risk of running into shortages, or are these things that we can just keep cranking out?
From a sustainability standpoint, no. So when you talk about the debate is the amount of energy and everything required to raise cattle, byproduct of that, all of that stuff, where this is something that we can grow and it's sustainable in that capacity. Humane is obviously a gigantic factor, and I would never in my life debate anybody on that. If they choose to be vegan or vegetarian for humane purposes, you win the argument. I will never, you don't talk anybody down from that. Obviously, personally have a different opinion, but I'm not here to promote that, let's say. But a lot of the issues on ingredients are more, especially right now, has nothing to do with that sustainability. It's all of the other things in the world that are happening right now, which is causing nightmares in, I can't speak for other industries I'm not in, but I can tell you in that food world, food manufacturing, getting ingredients to people, it is getting a little tight. It's getting a little tight right now.
It's weird because there's like the inflation aspect of it, there's the war aspect of it, there's the the various sanctions that are being placed on Russia being, and Ukraine both being huge wheat exporters. So there's a lot of moving parts there. What I was talking to one of my friends about this, it feels like a lot of food companies are responding by raising prices, right? In the past, it seems like companies always raise prices when inflation's going on, and then when inflation goes away, they're like, oh, I guess we'll just keep them here, and our margins will go up. Do you think that that's what we're seeing here? Or is this, like, multi-year? Is this going to be something that we're talking about in 2023 and 2024?
I think, absolutely. So if you think of Russia and Ukraine are huge wheat producers. So think of literally everything that has wheat in it, which is, especially in the United States, most of the things, your breads, your pastas, cereal, flour, just general flour, starches, wheat starch, thickeners, things like that.
Even chicken nuggets.
Even the stuff, the breading, that would go into the flour used for the, tempura batter or breadcrumb or whatever. So you take the world supply of that and knock it down 30-40%. There's that much less right now. So what happens now is a lot of companies are, man, I can't use wheat flour. Can I use, cornstarch? Can I replace it with, all the different kinds of flours? Can I
It's
use
time for quinoa's rise, Mike. It's
Right?
time for quinoa's
Right.
rise.
I could get
rice
behind that.
and all these other things,
Yeah.
which means everybody is now using more of all those things. So when those things run out, then they're going to be like, okay, now we can't get this or this. What can you do that? So a lot of the work I'm doing, even things like vegetable oil, things of that nature, which come from that region as well. It's like, oh, we're out of vegetable oil. What else do you have? Well, canola, peanut, all these other types of oil, safflower, all these. Well, these companies have ingredient statements on their packaging, which states everything that goes in it. So when you change the ingredient, that means you have to get your ingredient statement changed. You have to reprint packaging.
Mm.
If it's a food item, you have to do, USDA or FDA approval. So once it gets to crunch time of I'm running out of ingredients, I need to buy something else. Forecasting of these ingredients is difficult. And we need to switch out, like it is right now, just an absolute disaster.
So do you think that this supply chain issue is affecting the risk taking in the space? Because like it seems, in a happier economy, whatever, in a less constrained place, fast food companies are really swinging for the fences. Especially like we saw Arby's with their weird ass macaroni patty that they're doing. Yum Brands is doing something. Pretty much every quarter they have something weird that they're gonna do, either at Taco Bell or KFC. McDonald's, out of all of them, seems to be the most conservative. But like, have you noticed like less risk-taking appetite, or are they like, well, we don't have these ingredients anyway, we might as well try something? Like, how do you think it's affected like that risk-taking in the kitchen?
Even before pre-pandemic, a lot of restaurants were going down this path of optimizing and like reducing menu items. Places like McDonald's, Taco Bell, if they could sell one thing and just crank it out, that would be the most profitable for them. So the more things you add to a menu, the harder it is to just generally operate in a restaurant. So there's a lot of simplification stuff there. There was already issues with employees and keeping employees in that environment at whatever price that they are being, whatever salary or hourly wage they're being paid. Some folks have said that they are not getting paid enough because of all the work and how difficult it is to work in that fast-paced environment. I would imagine I would agree with that, having worked on these lines, even in my role of like, it's cranking in here. It's 4 hours of like nonstop working a kitchen line that's crunch time. That is,
yeah.
Mike,
what are you going to do about that?
I live in Ohio, right? And our cost of living isn't through the roof or anything yet. Obviously, we're all seeing the prices at the pump or at the grocery store or at restaurants go up. But what I've seen is help wanted signs in front of every fast food establishment. But it started at 10 an hour here, and then it moved up to 12, then 13, then 14. And I was at Raising Cane's the other day. They're offering 15 an hour. And they didn't seem to have many problems getting people to work there. So it feels like during the pandemic, a lot of folks that may have been working in the fast food industry said, you know what? I'm not going to be on the front line unless you're paying me more. And it seems like that's still going on. It's a good thing for workers to have, better pay.
I mean, there's not only the, let's say, COVID risk factor that was early on of restaurants, you're going to stay open.
Right.
Maybe like, I don't want to work, right? Are you crazy? Now that people are coming back into the restaurant, depending on what state you're in and how the community feels about masks and safety and all these things, that could be very confrontational. See how PC I just spat out? You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, sure.
But I said it in an appropriate manner. There may be verbal or physical discrepancies about whatever, and somebody might just go off on an employee for no reason. And if they're getting minimum wage and don't feel like they're being paid well, treated well as an employee, nobody's got their back, why would you want to stay there? You're going to want to leave. So there's all of that stuff happening. It's just like a compounding stuff that is just happening that's drastically affecting our everyday life in every segment whatsoever. So
you mentioned something about the diversity of like a menu, right?
Wait a second. I want to hear Rodney's question.
Okay, go ahead, Rod.
He's been cut off about 10 times.
I mean,
no,
you're a champion at asking the questions.
No, hey, you know what? Asif asked.
Rodney.
He asked very great questions. I mean, I'm just backing him up. Now, look, I gotta know. I've been learning so much here, like these last 10 minutes or so. But let's jump in the Rick and Morty time machine real quick. Let's go back to Baby Chef Mike. When did you know that this was going to be something you wanted to do for potentially the rest of your life? Like, when did you know, okay, my place creatively is cooking and I can make anything. I want to make anything for anybody. Like, how did this all come about?
I mean, I was one of those as like a little kid cooking with my mom and grandma. I just always wanted to be a chef. I took home ec in junior high, so I was like the
Nice.
one dude who's great at sewing, and all that fun stuff. Took all
Yep.
the foods classes in high school and all that stuff, wanting to be the chef and open up my own restaurant. Then I got to college and learned more about the business and chance of success and really thinking about the hours. And I was like, I don't want to work in a restaurant. That's horrible. The
Yeah.
other story goes, we were talking before, I play guitar and I wanted to be in a metal band. And nights, weekends, and holidays, that's show night. I got to be up front melting faces. I can't be in the back cooking. Nobody's going to see me back there. I got to be up front screaming in your face.
Yeah.
So I tell
And that
people I
prep
kind
work,
of
yeah.
fell into this R&D world that I'm in now. So I've been doing it since I graduated college in 2006. So I'm
I
I
got you
guess
beat.
been doing this for a little while.
Yeah.
While.
You got some skin in the game.
Yeah. But then I've worked in the biz for a while, but then I got I was in bands, so I always used my social media pages as like a promotional tool, even then, of like building an audience. How do you be engaging so you could invite people to shows and all that? Then, been trying to build that street cred, get to McDonald's. I get part of their brand ambassador program, so I'm media trained and allowed to talk on their behalf. And I tried to capitalize on that a little more. So then there was one thing we did where we gave away like 10,000 bottles of Big Mac sauce.
Oh my.
Well, people went into the restaurants. It's like, you order a Big Mac, you get a bottle of sauce, and it went over well. So some owner, and then the Rick and Morty season 3 episode 1 airs where they call us out, and an owner operator, some random unnamed person on Twitter, tweeted at me, like, "Hey, Chef Mike, we gave away all this Big Mac sauce to the people. This is what the kids want. Don't you think we should try to give them back, bring back Szechuan sauce?" So I'm media trained, and I know I'm not supposed to say anything at all whatsoever. Not supposed to talk about it. Not supposed to comment. which is my, my story to this day is I didn't think it was going to blow up like that.
Right. Wink, wink, wink.
So I quote tweet. Ask me the question in a minute. I quote tweet. I'll see what I can do. Okay. Very neutral. Couple hours later, hundreds and hundreds of retweets later, the media says a chef at McDonald's is bringing back Szechuan sauce. I did not say that. So I had to go to legal, HR, the HR, like I did not say that. I just tweeted this thing. Had to go do all this stuff because it blew up because of what I tweeted, even though I did not say I was going to bring it back.
Oh, you're the patron saint of Szechuan sauce, Mike. It doesn't matter.
That's right. You're the face of it now.
I dropped that little pebble in the ocean, and the ripples created this amazing up and down scenario of getting the people back the sauce they want.
How wild is that feeling when you're just shouting into the void on Twitter, and then suddenly it goes viral, and it's just out of your control?
It is a perspective I don't think a lot of people have of... I remember me tweeting it, and then I remember when there's videos of guys jumping on counters complaining about getting it, and globally, the amount of impressions and it being talked about, like people in the Szechuan region were like, "We don't know what this sauce is. What is this? How is this trending?" Like different countries are like, "What?" I think Australia has a huge Rick and Morty fan base.
Sure.
And in Australia, it blew up. They're like, "When are we going to get Szechuan sauce? And they were like, there was this whole thing for them to get it. It was a global... To put another thing in perspective, which this is true. The second day I started, the second day I was at McDonald's was the first day all-day breakfast happened at McDonald's. Okay? So they did all this you guys are in the biz, that paid media, all that stuff to get the promotions and all that, spent a whole bunch of money to make it happen. For 1% of the cost of all of the all-day breakfast stuff, it got like 20 times more impressions and engagement than the all-day breakfast stuff. It became a global thing for literally peanuts. It cost them almost nothing in comparison to just blow up the internet
Yeah.
versus how much money they paid to try to get like stuff happening. And it was cool to see from beginning to end, like, it blow up like that. And then them not, give me any credit. And then,
You brought up all-day breakfast, though, Mike. And that's something that still, out of all the things COVID's taken away from us, that really hurt. Because it was like almost a golden age for fast food that we had McDonald's breakfast 24/7.
I'm going to break your heart. I'm going to break your heart a little bit more. And I don't think this will get me in trouble because it's in the past. McDonald's was trying to reduce that menu, get rid of all-day breakfast well before the pandemic.
Damn.
All the owner-operators are like, this is so hard to do.
Yeah.
We don't like doing it. Customers are like, we want the thing. Owner-operators and the operations folks at McDonald's are like, we don't want to do that.
Damn. So there was like a motivation already.
Yep.
What?
Lots of decisions are made not based on what you want or what we want. They are based. These decisions are made arbitrarily all the time for no reason.
So, like, you mentioned this earlier about the complexity of a menu at a various restaurant. I'm curious, like, you've worked with a lot of places. You also eat at a lot of places or whatever. A company like In-N-Out or Raising Cane's that has a pretty focused menu. Do you think they are going to be able to handle this environment, this inflationary environment, this supply chain environment better than a bigger company like McDonald's? Or is it because they have more cash, they could probably handle it better?
Interesting. As long as the supply chain issues don't affect their core business. So, like, ChickfilA really started this whole chicken war thing. Okay. Mm-hmm. ChickfilA does not have a lot of menu items, and the way they cook things, it's called like a bin system. So your chicken sandwich is already made, sitting wrapped in a warmer thing because it's just chicken and pickles and bread. Mm-hmm. And they could crank that out. That's how McDonald's started. We have a very slim menu, but it is always ready. So when you come in and order, rocking and rolling. Consumer trends change over time, and everyone wants all these different options. So then McDonald's menu expands and all those things. Then places like Chipotle pop back up that, once again, let's go back to reducing a menu, do it streamlined, just do what we do very well, not worry about the other things. So it's very much dependent on, as long as it's not their chicken supply, as long as it's, one could debate wheat, but if they could come up with another coating or breading system, I think more people really care about the chicken and the flavor. But they're pretty, it would be hard if it was one of their core items. A place like McDonald's, which does have a little bit bigger menu item, if they are out of chicken, at least they can serve burgers and whatnot. But once again, it's very dependent on which of the ingredients are affected. But from an operational standpoint, the smaller the menu, the better, for sure.
That's cool. No, because we've seen a lot of success in those styles of businesses lately. Like Raising Cane's is blowing up right now. It's been a regional to national story for like 10 years now. Yeah. Shake Shack, another example of that. Like, they're pretty focused menu, kind of premium price for things. I don't want to just ask you what the best hamburger is, because I don't think it's fair. But I'm curious, like, you live in California, right?
In Chicago.
Chicago? Oh, you're a Midwest guy. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
So, like, where is the best, like, what's the best hamburger in California? If in your time over there? Because, like, Californians love to think that they have the best food, but I'm curious.
I'm gonna tell you why. I'll give you a reason why I'm not gonna answer this ridiculous question. All right? I'm just gonna throw it out. It's not, I'm just being a Weisenheimer.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
There are infinite amount of reasons why you may like a burger over me. I grew up in the Midwest. Maybe you didn't. Maybe because of my Polish heritage, I ate this kind of burger, and because of your heritage, you ate some other kind of burger. Income level, nostalgia, diet, dietary restrictions. Do you like a big, rare, bleeding burger? Do you like that smash burger style where it's just like lots of the crispy brown flat burger with all that like delicious brown stuff? Is that your preference? I could tell you what my favorite burgers are, but that should not at all affect what you think your favorite burger is. So if we are going to go with my favorite burger ever, it's actually Au Cheval in Chicago, which
Choice.
happens to be my favorite burger ever.
I've had that burger. It's a banger.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm surprised you got. Are you guys? You were hyping up the Midwest. Are you in the area?
Denny is in
I'm a
Chicago.
local. Yes.
I
Yeah,
live in Canton, Ohio, so I live in the Midwest, and Ohioans, like, we have nothing to do but eat and go bowling. So we love our hamburgers here, and we love to debate them. And I agree with what you're saying. I agree it was kind of a trap question.
No, I know. But that's like, I like giving that answer. People like, hey, what do you cook the best? And people tell me that, I'm like, whatever you want. I mean, I've cooked a lot of things.
If you're ever in the running for Miss America, though, you have that answer ready.
Yeah.
I've said it 1,000 times. I got to re-script it a little bit, but
no,
Has there ever been a situation where you've been hyped up on a burger or something similar, and or the overall experience?
All the time.
Then,
that is the other thing that I love is a lot of people will go. Usually they do their fast food review. Mm-hmm. The new burger or new thing is out. So on day one, you're gonna go to Arby's and try their new burger. Do you think everyone has been trained appropriately to make that burger? Do you think it's possible that the one they made you could have been messed up? Is it a little bit older? Is the bread a little bit older? Is the cheese, was it broke? There are, again, infinite reasons why somebody might eat there and say, this is trash food. But somebody else went to like the Primo Arby's and got it freshly made. And it's like, this thing is awesome. How could you? What? I mean, there's a variety. You could have had a bad experience because of the staff. They treated you like crap, and you will automatically think the food is not as good.
Yeah, there is
always literally the same food.
There's always a good Arby's and a bad Arby's in every town. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It was true of Dennys. It was true of Dennys,
They're probably owned by different people. Sometimes you might see like 3 or 4 in an area that you're like, those 4 are really good, and then this one over here, that could be a different owner and operator than this one over here. So it depends on if it's franchisee or corporate run. Those are 2 very different scenarios.
That's
the
really
saddest thing happened in Canton during the pandemic, though. We had a good Dennys and a bad Dennys, Mike, and the good Dennys went under because during the pandemic, in-room dining, like people in restaurant dining, fell, and Dennys, I think, got hurt more than almost anyone because they were like the place to get breakfast in Canton.
I think this might be a Midwest thing, or maybe just me. So Dennys and IHOP, that's where you go at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and you got the theater kids, and you got the metalheads, and you got
ravers.
Okay,
Okay,
good. Just making sure that we're in the same. There was the Lakeshore. The Lake Street Dennys. So everyone was like, we're going to go to the LSD tonight. And that's where late night shenanigans happen at the LSD. So I just didn't know if that was a Midwest thing or if that's
it is a Midwest thing because I went to school in Ann Arbor, and that was like every, we were going up to Detroit for shows, either metal or raves or whatever. And we're stopping at Dennys, getting our coffee on at 2 to 4 in the morning.
Oh, there's some people in the corner playing Dungeons and Dragons, and
yep. After homecoming and prom.
Corner. Yep. Guys are looking at reading some comics over there. Some guys, bunch of anime shirts over there. Like, all right, it's like a convention with like 24 people.
So
nice. It's a wholesome mixture at the Denny's side. I feel like when you go down south, it's like Waffle House season.
Waffle House. Oh yeah.
My fellow co-host that Blake and I founded Wide World of Electronic Sports, and actually Blake coined the term electronic sports on the floor of E3 2018. He actually gave me, he's not under the weather right now, but he gave me a couple of questions that he would like to have asked on his behalf. Sweet and sour sauce at McDonald's.
Yep.
And French fries. Why does it work so well?
Just that sweet and salty combo. Like a potato is totally neutral in flavor, and no matter what you put on it, it kind of tastes like that thing. So if you really love plain French fries, you don't love potatoes. You love oil and salt. You love fatty and salt. If you love smothering your fries in ketchup, you don't love French fries. You love ketchup. because the French fry is just a vessel.
It's a
For that
vehicle, right?
delicious,
Good
sweetie,
point.
salty, red goodness. So this,
But-
I think your pal just loves sweet and sour sauce on anything.
That's true.
But it just goes so well on French fries because it's super neutral.
Which
Yeah, I keep it
kind of
deep
led to
cut.
his next question. Why is McDonald's sweet and sour sauce so damn good?
Because of research chefs like me who put those sauces in consumer panels and hide behind mirrored glass to get everybody's opinion on, is the salt level just right? Is the mouthfeel just right? Does the flavor linger long enough? Is it too thick or thin? Is it at the right price point? Is the color weird, or is the color brown enough where you know what it is? If we call it sweet and sour, do you get enough sour, or is it totally like not sour and you shouldn't call it sweet and sour? You could call it just some other stupid name like a signature sauce that doesn't mean anything and nobody knows what it actually tastes like. So all those factors very much go into making a sauce. I mean, you could kind of develop it based on your menu, knowing that it might go on a burger, go on the French fries, so you're evaluating it with the McDonald's foods. So if you took that sweet and sour sauce and put it on some other company's burger, maybe it wouldn't be as delicious because it's not balanced right. Maybe. I don't know. But that's a possibility.
As someone who has had packets of sweet and sour sauce laying around, I have tried that, and you're absolutely right. It doesn't pair
It's
well
not
with
as
other
good.
food.
Like this McDonald's sauce on this Wendy's burger, a little different. Like, yeah.
I'm glad you brought up Wendy's, because their sweet and sour sauce is pretty solid, but it's so damn different in color, in taste, in ingredients. Like, I like both of those with their individual nuggets, but you would never see me want to dip a McDonald's nugget into a Wendy's sweet and sour, or vice versa. So there's definitely an element of what you're talking about there. Where it's
and
like,
isn't it wonderful? We live in a world where you can like all different things. Like they're kind
Get
of
out
the
of
same.
town.
just don't tell the internet.
You don't have to pick one. Like obviously, everyone knows the PlayStation 5 is the best of all the consoles.
There we go.
I mean, that's pretty standard. But like, you can like the other ones. What?
No, we have this debate at Shacknews.
PC gaming? What?
Yeah, we have this debate at Shacknews that's been going on 26 years now. Quake versus Unreal Tournament. And people are still fighting about this. You know what I mean? So
this one should not even exist. Why waste time? This is the only one that matters. Like, I'll play both of them.
I'm with you. I like both. And I like both nuggets. I like both sweet and sour sauces. But there is something very iconic about that sweet and sour sauce at McDonald's. Like, that has transcended a lot of different decades at this point.
A lot of reasons why McDonald's is so popular and world famous is consistency and nostalgia. No one's gonna say that a Big Mac is better than that burger from Au Cheval, a trained culinary person. But in the right place at the right time, let's say you had your first date back in junior high and you remember buying a Big Mac with your significant other, and that's the same day you got that first kiss on the cheek. Then you start thinking about, I even remember the flavor of the Big Mac while I was there. That is a sensory experience that you have. So then 20 years later, you're with somebody you might not like as much, and you bite into that Big Mac, and you're like, oh, I remember that first. I remember that first time. Oh, yeah. And it's just that nostalgia trip of it tastes almost identical.
This
as
burger's hidden.
I remember that experience. So, I mean, a lot of the reasons why people like anything or go back isn't because it's great. It's because it's the same, and that's what they want.
And like they have a whole generation of kids that grew up on Happy Meals now, and we're all in our 40s and 30s and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like there is that nostalgia in the back of our head. If I see Grimace on TV, I just smile instantly.
I tried to convince them to do adult Happy Meals, and it just gets shot down every time. I don't know why.
Because we could just buy regular Happy Meals as adults, I guess.
But you want like a cool, imagine like a cool
thing.
You
like working through for like a cool
like, dice or
I got a hammer or something, a screwdriver, something I'm missing in the house.
A level, something like that that's useful. Tape measure.
Yeah.
Pack of Band-Aids. Like just in case on the road. Duct tape.
That's right.
Good. Stuff like that. Maybe a dongle. We're adults. We need dongles.
We always need it. I could always use a dongle, especially the headphone one for iPhone.
maybe one of those little camera, you can't see me naked. Now it's open like a branded one. Possibilities are endless.
Next
A
level
Mick
stuff.
camera would be nice. I would be down for a Mick camera.
Webcam?
A Mick
Come on
webcam.
now.
Yeah.
That would be
Dude,
IRL
if that came out during the pandemic, they would have sold truck tons.
I have to remind me to tell you one story after recording. I cannot tell the story on camera, but I have to tell you a story.
No problem. We will sign that friend DA with you, Mike.
Perfect. Old friend DA, fantastic.
Oh, this has been very enlightening because I think you're at a very interesting place where you've worked with a lot of these companies. You see the decision making logic and reason that they use, and it really does seem like you've worked with smaller companies and these really mega companies. Is it possible, like, because we still see them every once in a while, is it possible for like another entry in this space, like a regional to national story like Raising Cane's to happen? Like, and what space do you think in like quick service food do you think is kind of lacking here?
Over the last couple years, well, us Midwestern folk know Portillo's. Okay, now
yes,
Portillo's migrated to Florida because so many people from Illinois retired down there. Portillo's, I think, is in California now.
There's a Cali one too. I've been there.
Cali one too. So, I mean, that's a chain that seems to still be growing. There's been a lot of like Mediterranean, Middle Easterns, like pita. Places. A lot of that's popping up right now. Like when Chipotle first hit, you started seeing Qdoba, Moe's Southwest Grill. So like everything is always one comes up. Now we're gonna flood the one cool chicken sandwich. Everybody needs a cool chicken sandwich now. Like
I don't know why, but when you mentioned Qdoba, this restaurant popped in my head, and I was curious if you have any idea what happened. What happened to Quiznos?
Quiznos? Oh boy. You know, I don't know if it was just food cost stuff. I'm not 100% sure what happened. Back in the day, they were pretty darn good, right?
They were really good value, like
very good,
and it was a valid competitor to Subway. You know, and I know Jimmy John's is still kind of killing it, but
Quiznos, Jimmy John's. There's like Firehouse Subs.
Yeah. And Jersey Mike's.
I can't think of any advertising for Quiznos besides the weird rat things. So maybe that was why the marketing side was lacking, because I can't think of any Quiznos ad.
You know, another restaurant that we just got here in Canton, so for me it's like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing to happen to Canton in the last 10 years. Culver's is really expanding.
Yes.
I don't know
if has a solid foothold.
Yeah, they've been expanding. But like, so you still think that there is room in this industry for like a small scrappy company to kind of enter, as long as they're in a kind of less crowded space, right?
As long as, I mean, there's three kind of things on how one can win in the food biz. You're the best at the thing. The best tacos, the best burger, whatever. People will pay for that. You are the cheapest thing. If somebody could come in and you want, instead of $1 hamburger, they're only, White Castle style, 70 cents. That could be a play. Or you're the outlier. Nobody else has the thing, so we're going to come to you for the thing. But that's a hard one to keep and maintain, because once you're the outlier and you show that you have success, now everybody's coming in, so you need to play defense. So in any of those scenarios, it could very much, why is Tower Records not around, but Best Buy still sells CDs? Well, I guess they sell other stuff too.
They sell fridges more than CDs these days.
That's true. I'm trying to think of an old company.
It's like iPod. There was all these iPod competitors within a year, or iPhone even. Like there was all these iPhone competitors within.
I went all in on the Zune for sure.
Yeah, Zune was awesome.
I actually think they need to bring back Zune. They need to. I don't know what kind of product, but maybe get rid of Surface. That sounds dumb and kind of lame. But give us like a Zune book. I would buy a Zune book. Just for the sake of it.
Does it have to be called Zune? Can we not call it something else at this point?
No, my point is I want consumer electronic products that are in brown.
But here's a great, let's go back to, we're not going to do esports, so let's talk gaming. So when Elden Ring decided to become very popular more recently, and I mean, obviously that style of game has been around, Are there not more of those Souls type games that continually come out? Oh,
Yeah.
we're going to piggyback. Everybody wants this kind of game now.
That's
Do
true.
you remember when there was no 1 versus 100 battle royales anywhere? That was not a thing. And then everybody, Fortnite, PUBG, COD, everybody has to do battle royale.
And you're right, because
like,
it tends to be like smaller company. PUBG in this example came out with something that was really unique and cool and fun, and then all the big guys were like, "Let's steal that." So you're right that there's this like window for a small company to really disrupt the food industry before the behemoths come in, and they have all the money they can spend on R&D. They buy your product. Do you folks like buy competitors' products and like deconstruct them in the lab and try
all
to
the
figure
time? Like,
yeah.
all the time I am eating at all of the places you would not expect a chef to eat at.
Mm-hmm.
For reference too, my wife eats like a 5-year-old. She's Polish, and it's meat and potatoes. And her favorite restaurant out of all of the restaurants that exist is Chili's. Chili's, okay?
Now I have a question. I have a question about
Chili's there.
I mean, I go there all the time because the wife wants to go. I'm not gonna say no, but like I've eaten a considerable amount of Chili's in my day.
Well, they got good locations.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let me ask you something. So you're married, obviously. You're happily ever after. Are you like what is like the when you guys first got together, the whole dating process? Like oh, I cook, so I can make you anything you need. Like what's up? Like was that like the selling point right away?
Not even. This is what happened. So
okay.
I was in a band, okay, and a mutual friend brought this fine-looking lady to one of the shows. And I was like, I must have this person. But they were spoken for. So I got off stage. How you doing? I'm Mike. Nice to meet you. What'd you think of the set? Like, nah, I'm into like dance music and stuff. Not into it. Oh, I'm actually also a chef. You're like, yeah, I don't really eat. Like, I'm a picky eater. I don't really like. So I'm going to have to just relentlessly, ask you out on a date. Like, that's the only thing. Can I buy you a bunch of stuff? Oh, yeah, you could buy me.
There we go.
There you go.
I had to. Those two things I don't believe were a factor in my, dating my girlfriend, who then became my wife and who became my baby mama. So I don't know what it is. I'm not going to pretend to know what it is. It's not what you would think.
No, you bring intangibles, Mike. You bring intangibles to the table. That's what it is.
No,
hell yeah.
It was probably like, man, you look comfortable to cuddle with, and I bet you'll buy me a nice house. Yeah, I'll do those things. I can do all those things.
That's what really anyone wants. Cuddles in a nice house. That sounds great.
I could do all that. She never
with
actually
bacon in the background,
And yeah, you just throw some bacon in.
Oh, she eats the bacon for sure. So
that just makes it better instantly.
Yep,
that's awesome. I have a question about chicken wings.
Ask me you could even ask me non-food questions if you want. Like, I'll make up answers.
But I want to talk to you about chicken wings and sauce. Like right now, Hot Ones is huge, right? And there's like that whole ghost pepper revolution happened. Are you someone who enjoys the obscenely hot sauces, or are you more of someone who would be focused on taste? Because there are some of those sauces that just seem like
it's only heat.
Yeah.
So for most of my life, I'm relatively mild. As I'm getting older, for whatever reason, I have been increasing my spice level preference over time. It could be because I'm not tasting as good as I did before. It could be, I don't smoke or anything like that, but a lot of times people who smoke cigars and like brown liquor prefer food that is a lot more bold and spicy and flavorful. Either because they're used to those things that you're smoking cigars, drinking whiskey, that's a lot of flavor, or because of those things, your taste buds are getting destroyed and you can't taste as well as before. So you need strong flavored things to, get your, I don't kink shame. You need your strong flavor at whatever level. So that's cool.
Hey.
I'm at like a medium to medium high-ish is my, over that, like I don't go the bubonic plague hot sauce.
Yeah.
I will for content. If it's like for Hot Ones, you can put it in my eyes. I don't care. I will.
How have you not been on Hot Ones yet? Let's get you.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I'm not. They have like Spider-Man on, and
Yeah, we gotta get you on hot wings.
So we got to get you in the next Spider-Man movie, and then you'll get on
everybody
hot
out
ones.
there. Get Chef Mike on hot ones, and I'll bring a hot sauce that I hope. This is what I would do. I want to make a hot sauce. It's going to be called Three Devils. Okay, so it's going to be the craziest spicy chili. So scorpion chili could get up to like 1.8 million Scoville unit, or I could just use pure capsaicin. Then I'm going to add a whole bunch of white pepper because that heat is different than chili pepper heat. That's from piperin. And then I'm also going to add wasabi because that's a different kind of burn. That's like the onion, garlicky kind of burn. And I'll somehow mix all those three so those three different kinds of heat hit you. And just, I want you to crumble. It's not about it tasting good. It's just, can you withstand the Three Devils?
That sounds like the type of sauce. Like open the gate to like Event Horizon.
Right. That's gonna you're gonna go into the upside down. You know, you're gonna see 11 down there and demigorgons eat that.
But you're not one to really mess with ghost peppers. Like that just seems
that is not my. If I'm eating for enjoyment, that is not a personal preference.
Yeah, I'm with you there. That's just pain. I don't really enjoy it. But I do like I like spices, and I think that there's that. I think I'm similar to you, where I would try your Tres Diablos though.
Yeah, well, I'll totally make the horrific thing and eat it, but again,
But that's for science.
Like my kids are being a disaster, and I'm just hungry. What should I eat? I don't know. Stouffer's mac and cheese. I don't care. Then there is I'm cooking fancy for someone. Cool, I could do that. Then there is I'm going to a restaurant just with the family, kids out to dinner to eat. That's great. Or I could go to evaluate, which is the issue is when people say, I don't want to cook for you. You're a chef. I'm like, I'm not here to critique you. I'm just here to get full and eat you put a little TLC in there. I'm sure it's great. If you want me to literally critique your food, I could turn that part on and, make you cry, but I don't want to do that. So again, if I'm trying to make a super hot, spicy, something that's flavorful, I'm going to eat the heck out of it. I'm going to get feedback from other people. But again, if I'm making it for myself, medium high-ish.
It seems like while that is still like a huge trend in some spaces, the fast food era, like the fast food companies aren't really doing that. It seems like
that's right,
because they see that it's kind of
other than regional place. So if it's southern restaurants where Mexican restaurants, closer to the border where people are more accepting of spicy flavors. You go to New York and you don't claim something is spicy and it's got a little heat to it. The amount of complaints like, oh my gosh, what is, they blow up like, this is so spicy. And you're like, what are you talking about?
It's that
opposite that if something in like southern Texas that you're like, this is our new spicy chicken sandwich, and they're like, it doesn't even register. Why is this called spicy? Like, there's a whole fluctuation of regionality. A majority of people land in the mild to slightly spicy as their preference.
Yeah, sure.
That's me.
Unfortunately, that is a majority of the people. So I don't know if there's any correlating examples of the extreme outsides really doing a lot of talking and a lot of noise making, which affect a lot of what happens to everybody in the middle, even though everybody in the middle either doesn't care or, does not really want to have an effect on that subject matter or whatever. Mm-hmm. But that's how the food business is as well. 10% of people will complain, a change will be made, and maybe that's not necessarily the right change for everybody. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hear you.
Maybe those people don't want to change, and everyone else does. Weird.
Right. Now, I know you went to college in Rhode Island, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Good research. Who did you? Wow.
Yeah. We got it. We got to do a little research.
We went to 4 pages of Google.
Are you clicking on LinkedIn right before you?
Right now, but after college, you also went to England for a little bit too. So how different is like the cooking and the culture out there in comparison to a place like America? Was it like a quick adjustment? Like, oh yeah, boom, I got this. I'm in England, but I've already I know my way around the kitchen or two.
Oh, very different especially because of the year. So that was actually I was a sophomore, so I did an internship and then I stayed for the summer. I could have flown home, but I was like, it's the summer. I'm just going to keep working.
Yeah.
I worked under a French chef at this place called the Wentworth Club. So it's where, if you're golfers, it's where the Volvo PGA Championships are held. Very like, I would cook for oil tycoons and like famous golfers. Like, this was a very, I would never be a member or eat there normally type of place.
Yeah, sure.
So I was in a scenario of what's called a brigade system. So I was in the veg and side dish section. There's somebody on meat, somebody on sausage, somebody on seafood. Like, it was broken down in that way. And I was there as an intern. So I was working under somebody. And this was a French chef. It's a quiet kitchen. So he calls out orders. I need one of these, one of those, one of those. You say, "Oui, chef," and you shut your mouth and make the things. And when it's ready, it better be ready up there when he needs it. And that's how the kitchen is run. 3 weeks into my internship, he fires the guy I'm working under. "Get on the line. Let's go." So for at least 2 months, I was just getting, "Where is it? Let's go." This is wrong. Plates thrown, that kind, not necessarily at me, no violence at me, but it was like, this guy just blows up. Okay. And it wasn't until like 2 months in where I finally had a service where nothing went wrong. And I know he like yelled at other people. And the greatest compliment I ever got was the chef in his, I won't do the French accent, but he's like, "Hey, Mike," because he wouldn't call anybody chef because he's the chef. "Hey, Mike, I didn't yell at you today." And it just walked away.
That's the compliment.
Let's go! Woo!
That's
And
your
Nice.
That was the gold star. It was just, "I didn't yell at you today."
Achievement unlocked.
I might start adopting that at Shacknews, Mike.
"Hey, I didn't yell at you today." It was very straight faced, like, "Oh, thanks." So, I learned a whole bunch. The other thing that sucked for me is, at least in the UK at that time, they had split shifts. So I would work from 7 in the morning till 2, and then from 4 to close. So for 2 hours, I wouldn't get paid. I lived a 45-minute walk away from where I worked. So I'd have to just walk, like, okay. So you hang out at work anyway, and you don't get paid for those 2 hours. So now you're hanging at work, not being able to leave or go anywhere as a, 20-year-old, 19 or 20-year-old. And at that time, you could have adult beverages. And if you're on a split shift, maybe instead of staying at your establishment, you go with your Irish friends and, see how many Guinness one can put down at a lunch break, and then go back to work. And I don't condone any of that.
I'm sure that goes well for dinner service,
No,
right.
Nope. Does not, on a slow day, like on a Sunday, nobody's showing up. But do not do that. Do not do that.
So you mentioned we could ask you about things other than food. I'm just curious.
And I'll make it up.
What are you playing video game wise these days?
I just a couple weeks ago finished Elden Ring.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I did not beat, is it Millennia, the hardest one? I needed help. I could not do it myself, but completed everything on my own. I've been playing PGA Tour 2K21 because over the pandemic, I decided to pick up golf because I'm an old white suburban man, and that's what you do.
But
that's just what happens in the Midwest.
That game's also excellent.
Well, but I also, because of real golf, I also want to play the video game golf.
Okay.
That's big Schaumburg.
And then
right there.
I'm probably the next game I want to get Tiny Tina is probably the next.
Oh, dude,
Nice.
you're gonna love that.
Because I also play Dungeons and Dragons as well, so that's my.
I'm glad you. Yeah, that game I've been playing the hell out of it. It's Borderlands with this RPG mechanic attached to it, and Tina is your dungeon master. It's
beautiful,
hilarious. So yeah, I think you'll really dig that. But congratulations on beating Elden Ring.
I think I got 120 some hours. I think I was level like 180 because coming from the old school RPG, JRPG renaissance of PlayStation 1, I very much know I will level grind. If there is an exploit to level grind, I will do it until it is easy, until the game is not difficult whatsoever. Yep. So I'm sitting there shoot my arrow at that one little chicken, off the ledge on that one area until I'm just a beast. So that way it makes my life. I think it's a good like reward for spending the time and doing that. So that's always been my style of like, you want me to level grind? I will level grind.
What kind of build did you go for in game?
I was a dexterity build. So the Blood Fang, for whatever reason, I liked two-handing the Blood Fang better than having two weapons. I think it, for whatever reason. And then double katana a little bit, but I was like 80 in dexterity, 57 in strength by the time, because I just wanted max damage. And I just jump attacks, as many jump attacks as I could do. And just all the combos. Summon, and then I just summon one of my Ash people, either me or the Black Knife one, and then as soon as they're fighting, I just go around the back, hit a couple times in the back, go back to hiding, distract, go back in. So that was a lot of.
So is it your game of the year?
So I don't know. I have not played any other of the Bloodborne games. That is not my style at all. So fighting games are not my style either, because I am so much better at, like, let's say a Call of Duty where I have a standard button set. I can attach different things, but I know what the buttons do. As soon as it's a reactive game, like fighting or this, or depending on my character, different button combinations, I am trash. I am so bad at it. So those never have been my thing. But early on, wasn't the biggest fan of Elden Ring. Once you catch on, once you figure it out a little bit, it was pretty awesime.
What drew you to it?
Somebody sent it to me for free. So I had some of my G Fuel folk decide. I don't know if I'm allowed to say. Am I allowed to?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So they sent me because I do a little partnership action with them. So they hooked it up.
That's awesome. See, you are an influencer. You're getting free.
Well, like I got. They sent me. I think it's because I'm Polish. They sent me Cyberpunk. Not CD Projekt Red sent me Cyberpunk.
Okay.
What else did I get? Some free stuff. Yeah, I'm like,
what's that belt behind you?
This was just from golf. This was a stupid golf, like my buddy Scramble golf BS thing. It just says champion. It was probably $20. I got my favorite franchise ever of all time is God of War. So I have an old school little Kratos action.
Kratos.
Gotta love Kratos.
Yes. So the coolest thing, what I like the best is one of these. So this came with the Cyberpunk, like the initial box that came with all the cool stuff. And I've never had one of these styles of art pieces, and it is totally awesome.
Oh hell yeah!
Are you big on collecting that type of stuff? Because we have another show here on Shacknews that I think you'd be perfect for if you are.
I can bring you, if we're gonna do that. I won't tell you what it is. It's not. Let's just say it's Rick and Morty related.
Oh, cool.
But I probably have an item that might be good for feature on here.
Rod is referring to our show Retail Therapy. I think we're gonna have to wrap this up soon, and we've been taking up so much of your time. We really appreciate you joining us for E6. I want to ask one of Blake's last questions that he had for us. Blake wants to know which sauce is best in life, and I'm worried that you're going to give me the same answer that you did for the hamburger.
Sauce that is best in life.
And this can just be your personal opinion. It doesn't have to be...
I'll give you my personal favorite sauce.
Sure.
And it's my recipe, so you're, unless I make it for you, you're never going to have it.
Okay.
But I can guarantee it's the best. It is a garlic and yogurt sauce that I put on all kinds of meat. I put all kinds of vegetables. So it's actually half mayonnaise, half Greek yogurt, lemon juice, lemon zest, a crap ton of garlic, maybe a little chili flake, smoked paprika, maybe a little herb in there. But if you I like garlic where it melts your face, burns your taste buds. So if you put that in a pita with some meat. If you put it on a burger, you could do it as a chip dip. You could use it as a veggie dip. You can, put it on all the things, and it's super tasty.
See, that sounds delicious. I'm Pakistani American. I grew up with that that Asian diet, and Pakistani food, yogurt is like a core staple of
Absolutely.
of that. So when I heard you were pairing yogurt and garlic with meat, I was like, oh my god, he's speaking my language here. That sounds delicious.
Which is great for all the Mediterranean restaurants we were referencing earlier, because everybody wants meat and yogurt sauces for whatever reason.
Absolutely. No, that's awesome. That sounds delicious. We're either gonna have to come to Chicago and get you to make us some of this, but
well, now that I know somebody lives in Chicago,
yeah.
So my new kitchen is at this place called the Hatchery. It's on Kedzie. It's in the middle.
About the Hatchery, yeah.
Yes, so I have a kitchen in there now. The neighborhood around it is what it is, but once you get into the Hatchery, it is a pretty cool facility. So if you ever wanted to film you do a little quick thing in there, cook you a little something.
I like the sound of that.
This sounds awesome. I'm not that far from Chicago. I'm out here in Northeast Ohio, so I can just jump
Ohio,
on.
I don't want to not get okay. We're sticking
Come
Well,
on.
I'm from Nebraska. I can just drive
Nebraska.
over.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I'm also like a $70 flight away one way. I could come check you out.
I mean,
I'd love to
hop
see
on
it.
I-80 and just
We're gonna have Denny pick you up from the airport. Come to the Hatchery, and I'll have a 6-course ready for you.
Now I understand my Ohio-ness is problematic for most people.
I'm more of a Cleveland man. I like the flats back in the day where everyone used to go.
I'm from Canton. That's an hour from Cleveland.
Okay.
Like
my cousins grew up on Menor on the Lake or one of those places, so I was there all the time.
Okay, so there is a large Polish population in Northeast Ohio.
Huge, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of
That's
good
another
food.
reason. Yeah, Chicago is the second biggest Polish population in the world, next to Warsaw, Poland. I believe the capital of Poland, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really know, but like, I'm in Polish land right now. Actually, Schaumburg, specifically where I live, is half Polish and half Indian. Just so happened that
I literally said, this sounds very Schaumburgerish when you were talking about that golf tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm born and raised in Schaumburg. So since you're are you from the city proper, or are you a suburbanite?
I was born in the city, but now I'm a suburbanite.
What's suburban?
I'm on the west burbs. Not that far off from Hillside area.
You're not in Naperville or anything, are you? You're not in Naperville, right?
I used to work in Naperville area for quite some time. We have all the strips over there. Oh man!
Just kidding. Anyone from Naperville? It's busy.
Yeah, it was good times.
I'm from Schaumburg, born and raised, and still live here. Never moved away, other than like going to school and all that stuff. But family's here. I got grandparents are babysitters, so
Oh yeah,
that is awesome.
That's amazing.
But no, Mike, thank you so much for your time. This has been a delight. We're gonna have to do this again because you're the sauce boss, and this is. And I
feel like
talk.
I haven't really said much of anything. It's just been random yelling at you for no reason. So maybe next time I'll give you valuable information.
I thought you did. I think we talked about a broad range of topics that all kind of revolve around sauce, and we even got to hear what your favorite sauce is, and I am really interested in some garlic and yogurt next time I'm in Chicago.
I'll make it happen.
I'm just gonna hop on I-80, turn on the Tesla autopilot, and I'll just take a nap and wake up in Chicago.
Hopefully you wake up in Chicago.
I'm sure it won't have any problems.
Yep, smooth sailing. Just bird's eye, just right to the building. There you go.
But alas, all good things must come to an end, as this E6 segment has. Mike, do you want to tell the people where to follow you on the social medias?
You can totally look up my name, which is spelled just like it sounds. Haracz, Harris. And I'm on all the socials. I do a lot on the Twitters, some on the Instagrams. Don't bother following me on Facebook. But I do want you to follow me on LinkedIn, highly underutilized for business purposes. I have a TikTok. It's trash. Nobody follows me. I'm old. I don't know what to do. And I have a YouTube channel called Chef Mike Does Stuff, which I have not posted in a couple of weeks because I got a new job. But if you want to look at some videos of if you don't like cooking, you don't know how, you are very intimidated, there's a bunch of approachable culinary tips and tricks for you, and a little demonstrative journey of how to cook things and not really care how it turns out. Like, you mess it up, what are you gonna do? So that's the kind of stuff that I make.
Well, I know you think you haven't given us a huge info dump, but for us, this has been a delight. We're gonna all go back to our labs and try to reverse engineer some sweet and sour sauce or something.
Ooh, nice.
But
like it.
Yeah, for everyone still watching here, please stay tuned. We have more Shacknews E6 2022 content coming. And just a reminder, E6 is twice as many E's as E3.
That's like well, there's probably going to be no E's coming up, isn't that?
No, we're just adding an E every year.
No, for E3 isn't going to have any E's, isn't there?
I think they seem to be subtracting E's.
It's not even happening, I thought. That was my joke. That didn't go over very well, that there isn't going to be an E3, so there's no E's. The 3.
It's just 3 now.
And you have the 6.
Yeah.
And then...
You know, to go full circle, we actually held a funeral for E3 at E3 2019 with Justin Roiland. And so it's kind of the alpha and omega.
I think I was at that E3 trying to meet, because that was his VR game came out.
Yes, Trover Saves the Universe.
I was there.
Yep.
McDonald's chef coat, probably.
That was our last booth we'll probably ever have. And it was an iconic. I'll send you a link to the interview. It is.
You were in the back corner by Origin PCs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, you remember?
I remember seeing your booth. Yeah.
Oh man, what a
time! Like the Big Mac. You know,
was there one of the one of the competition games? There's like a big board where like celebrity folk would play something against someone right over in that corner.
Yeah, they're doing like a pros versus Joes kind of thing. But yeah, that was something. But yeah, that was our last booth. So then in 2020, when the world halted, we said, screw it, we're going to do E4. Then last year we did E5, and now we're doing E6.
Maybe next year an E7?
We're going to have to go to the lab and figure that out, because we're going to have to come up with another E, which is like
I'm still trying to, how I could revive my old joke of saying that there are no more E's for E3 because they don't exist anymore, because nobody wants to go to it. I'm trying to think of how I can make that funny still, but it's not.
No, it's, I'm telling you, man. The ESA does enough to make themselves funny without us having to pile on.
Jeez.
But
I like PAXs. I like PAX.
Yeah.
I like Comic-Cons.
Yeah.
Any of the other ones. E3 was just a little weird for me.
It got very weird when it stopped being a trade show and became an open to the public show, but it was still a trade show. They kind of lost their identity, but we're still carrying the spirit on through our series of E events.
Support
it. We appreciate you supporting us today, and can't wait to see what you're behind the next time there's some crazy Yum Brands announcement or some McDonald's thing. I'm sure you have all sorts of cool stuff that you're planning, but we can't wait to see it, and we'll be here to talk about it on Wide World of Electronic Sports on Mondays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. But that's going to have to be all for this panel. Stay tuned. We have more awesome content coming your way here on Shacknews Twitch and Shacknews YouTube. Stop.